Hey everybody, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh, SalvationsElite. To my right, it's Sam, Bash_Bo3, and to our farthest right, per usual, is Rex, ShadyNero, and guys, girls, ladies, and gents. We have a lot of Call of Duty to talk about today. As you guys can see in the title, we're doing a spicy one. We're doing the top 10 most valuable players in Call of Duty. And we're going to be talking about the beta. We're going to be talking about some Rostermania news. Some substitutes have signed. Some moves are being made. Paris is still doing absolutely nothing. And some OpTic Gaming news to go through. Before we get into any of that, I've got to ask, guys, what is going on?
Well, Josh, I'm feeling like I'm walking through the Hogwarts halls, perusing the paintings, moving around. Where are they going? What are they seeing? But the steps, I'm trying to take a step on the steps, and it moves just in time where there's nothing in front of me anymore.
Oh, no.
There is non-existence, unfathomable deepness in front of me, and I'm about to fall. But wait. There's Dumbledore waiting for me, casting a spell and raising me up above the steps, throwing me back into the Gryffindor common room and putting me to sleep where I belong.
Wow.
That is beautiful. And you even got your own little camera there at the end, the TV camera to show off as well. Things we love to see. But Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good?
Doing pretty good.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully as good as, Rex inside of
Hogwarts,
Yeah. But
Never.
yeah, like I said, a lot of fun today and a lot to go over per usual. First of all, if you want to, drop a review on Apple Podcasts, you can catch this podcast wherever podcasts can be listened. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can watch us there, and you can drop a review on Apple Podcasts. A 5-star review specifically would be great, and we'll read your reviews if you drop them. Unfortunately, no new reviews this week. Pog in the sad Pog in the chat. Very sad.
No Pog.
Feels bad.
A very
It's a
sad Pog. But
What would a very sad Pog look like?
I don't know. I have no clue. He's got. I don't think it looks like that. I don't think it looks like that. It was so sad. Oh my word!
It's so bad.
Yeah, I'm a little scared too.
Oh my
But
word!
holy cow!
Sad Pog.
He's got tears. How about he has tears or something? All right, let's go with that, guys. Oh my word!
Oh, bro, your eyes were just white there.
But wow.
Happy
Everyone
Halloween.
is absolutely gone now.
Everyone,
That's
sad
100%
Pogs in
facts.
chat, please.
Yeah, sad Pogs in chat, please. But we got a lot of news to talk about today. So Sam, while Sam's crying, we're gonna get right into the news.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
I got it. I'm
Oh
good.
my word, yo! The whole time Sam was still losing
Guys,
it, dude.
Oh, wow, I've never seen that much passion in a face before. Oh, okay, we're good.
Well, I think today would be a good time to open up the show with some OpTic Gaming situation talk.
Yes.
There's been a conflicting reports, let's just say that, about OpTic Gaming and what's happening with Hecz, what's happening with OpTic, what's happening with the Huntsmen, and what could go down. So, Esports Talk, a.k.a. Jake Lucky, a.k.a. Jake Sucky,
I love it.
was on Twitter.
I know.
And he was talking about how he replied to like a situation there, and he said basically his saying was the league won't allow Chicago Huntsman to change their name to Chicago OpTic Gaming because and therefore Hecz will keep OpTic Gaming LA with NRG and will look to sell the Chicago Huntsman.
Mm-hmm.
That's
crazy.
Big news. But paired with that, first of all, Call of Duty League uploaded a Rostermania like video onto their YouTube channel, the CDL YouTube channel, that was titled Dark Knight Returns plus OpTic Envoy. So maybe it's bait, maybe it's not.
Bait.
But then
I watched it.
Yeah. I mean, the end of the video was definitely, they basically mentioned it for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the video, or then later that tonight, Hecz said basically to hold your horses. He said, wait, hold your horses, don't get your hopes up. And the story legitimately changes every day for the last 2 years. People who are talking don't really know anything. Wait for the news straight from the source. And, trust in Hecz.
Yeah.
Basically, was kind of like the message. I mean, Hecz didn't seem as confident that like anything was in the books or in the works yet, that anything was actually going to happen yet. He said, don't get your hopes up was part of what he said. So I don't know. I mean, based off that information alone, that's all we really know about the situation right now. Based off that, like, just absolute cluster of information, what do you think about the situation right now, Rex?
It's a tough situation because Hecz definitely wants OpTic, but in Chicago. Do you think he'll just resign to the fact that it's going to be in LA? But then what do you do with the OpTic Gaming LA roster that's been announced at this point? Like... And do they get transferred to the Huntsmen? But like, I don't think that's how that works. So that's why this whole thing is kind of like weird. Because I just don't think Hecz will give up Scump and Formal and that crew with the Huntsmen and just because he wants the OpTic name with LA.
For sure, I agree.
So I don't know. I don't even know how to like look into that so much.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some options. Sam, what are your thoughts? Oh, no. All right, well, we'll continue while Sam keeps thinking about sad Pog. But at the end of the day, like, I feel like OpTic and, like, Hecz, like, there's definitely a handful of options for how it could actually turn out as the whole situation could play out. I mean... I agree with you that I don't feel like it's very likely that Hecz just ditches T2P and like when they sell the Huntsman. I mean, unless part of the negotiation for this deal that, Esports Talk was reporting on, was that T2P would head to OpTic with them, and like I saw like CDL Intel like talked about the old roster, like the old potential roster that was like talked about last year when Crim was leaking all those rosters, like with like, T2P in OpTic, like on like an LA OpTic type situation. But I just don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, and like with Hecz kind of like saying that was not a legitimate rumor, basically is what he was saying at the end of the day, then I'm not exactly sure where we are at this point. I mean, Sam, you good to tune in now?
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. A little distraction. Something was going on off screen,
Yeah, because I can see this. No, sorry. I can see this as being like, very true, right? Like, how many times have we heard things that we thought were legitimate, hard fact, and then the actual news comes out and it's like, oh, that was completely different. Yeah. But at the same time, you kind of wonder if like Hecz is like trying to like save face, like.
Oh yeah, I agree with you there.
Like it could be true, and he's like, wait, like hold off, just wait. But this could legitimately.
You got Hex's back there.
Yeah, so I can see it being like both ways, but then he also like kind of tweeted bait too to Scump.
He was baiting today.
Like,
we're gonna miss you, boo.
Yeah, I kind of miss you. So I don't know, but it seems weird to me that the league wouldn't let that happen. But like, maybe they're just like dead set on name staying.
I mean, in my opinion, like, why, if you're Hecz right now, why would you change anything unless you're just rebranding the Huntsman? Because like at this point, it's going so well for them. With the crew that they have right now, the team that they have, mixed with the content creators that are there, TST, Hecz, you've got Hecz with all of the content they're making with their team right now, Scump, and, all the squad that's there. Like, the content's going great. They're winning. They're a successful team. I don't know why you would throw that away just to have the OpTic LA brand, unless you're bringing everybody with you to LA. But I don't see that very possible or very likely.
Yeah.
Why do we just really think that they just won't allow a name change?
The question is whether or not, Hecz is like actually going to be able to rename the Huntsman to in some sort of OpTic
Gaming
in some way, or if he's gonna have to put it on hold for a while. Excuse me, like what you were saying like last week, Rex. Like maybe he just has to kind of bench the name for like a year or so until they can figure out what's gonna work with it. But either way, NRG is not allowed to have more than one spot in the CDL. So they have to either sell the Chicago spot or the LA spot. I mean, realistically, you'd assume, I mean, at the end of the day, realistically, the LA spot is more valuable in the long term.
Mhm.
And if NRG has the opportunity to acquire that, like maybe they would and move their team to LA.
Yeah.
Or, relocate to LA. That'd be great news for Formal.
Mhm.
But
they don't want to do that. Like Hecz has always been like so like Chicago,
yeah.
Texas,
Chicago's
LA
been his
is-
homestand.
Yeah. So I just seeing him going to LA, like it just, I don't think it's what. Is
It's
in
such a
his
weird
vision so
situation
much.
for a second year of a league to have a team already potentially relocating cities to another. Like it's a weird situation. I'm not sure which at this point after all this news, it's hard to say what option is the most likely. I mean, with Hitch basically saying don't get your hopes up, and the story changes legitimately every day for the last 2 years, and I'm legitimately not sure, and we don't really have any other leads besides just straight up speculation.
So let's say Hecz, he owns the OpTic Gaming, CDL team, the spot, the whole brand again. He's gonna sell that brand back to NRG, but I guess maybe he'll have some sort of like ownership rights with it.
Yeah, like he'd have more control over the brand than like what he did before. Still.
Yeah, it'll
so
be
he'd
an
be in a
arm
better
of
spot.
energy. Yeah,
But like I just don't see Hecz like selling the whole brand. Like that's why I think originally we all kind of agreed that like them renaming to OpTic would be make the most sense, but then Hecz still owns the rights to the name of OpTic Gaming, and then that's how they kind of loophole it where Hecz still has that full control there.
but that's the case. I mean, we talked about this in whatever some podcast before. But who's he selling his extra spot to? Where is this extra spot gonna go? Because he's not, So
yeah. And so some team's going to buy that. Some organization is going to buy that, and we're going to have a new team and potentially a new branding in the CDL.
And we're positive he bought the spot. Like that's confirmed news.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as confirmed as
Or
it
is
gets.
Rumored confirmed news.
It's
Okay.
rumored confirmed. Like everyone consensusly agrees that it happened, but nobody it hasn't been officially announced yet. So I guess technically it's not confirmed.
Yeah.
But about as confirmed as it gets. Yeah.
You don't think Immortals wants to buy that spot back?
No, Immortals want it out. I mean, Immortals want it out of COD. That's what they want it out of COD. They want League of Legends to be their only thing, I think. Or other esports. I have no clue what else they're into, but so I don't know. I mean, do you have any other like potential ideas at this point with the news that we have about what could potentially happen here? I mean, with Envoy, the ending of that video with Envoy, it was like so Hecz bought OpTic back, and then he's like, I can't say anything. Basically, he's like what he's basically saying. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Would he ever branch off of NRG completely? Like, just be done with it with NRG?
Again, it's possible, but like him and Andy seem to have a pretty cool connection here.
Because like it would be cool, like to have Hecz over OpTic, Andy over NRG, and then have like
a friendly rivalry.
A friendly rivalry would be pretty cool, but I feel like Hecz has built a lot with NRG, and he probably doesn't want to give that up either. So it's a hard spot, Like I mean, it's cool for Hecz to like have brought up, two brands now, basically.
Right.
But if it comes down for him for either Chicago location or naming OpTic.
Yeah, I mean, Rex,
What
I
does he
get
choose?
why you're not sold that Immortals sold. I get that because it would make sense that the brand's just not working for them because everybody just hates the old OpTic and they see it as fake OpTic. And so the brand legitimately was just not working for Immortals. Like that is not the right brand to have if you're getting into COD.
Yeah.
But at that point, you paid a lot of money. You paid a lot of money for the value of that brand, but then nobody came with the brand because the brand is actually Hecz and Scump and T2P and the culture of that Hecz has built is OpTic. So I could totally see a situation where you're talking about where Immortals never actually sold the spot itself and only sold the name brands to Hecz, and then they're going to rebrand their LA spot to a new branding. Yeah. I could, in theory, see that, but that's not what the report said originally. So, yeah. Well, I think we can leave it at that for now because I don't think we really have any other, good leads or thoughts about how it could potentially play out at this point. Obviously, again, like we say every time, we'll keep talking about this the more information we get because it's awesome news for the CDL, for COD, for competitive COD, and for all the fans out there. So, Rostermania news. Talk about this a little bit. we had another substitute signing this week officially announced. This has been rumored again for a while now. This has been Insight officially was signed by the Toronto Ultra, which is dope. I mean, Insight, a Singularity member, a former teammate of Kleenex's back in BO4. And so they have that connection there, which is why I'm sure that probably is how that ended up playing out. And of course, Insight had a great year this year with Singularity, and it kind of all came to play for Insight to be they're one of their first signings as a substitute. I'd imagine he'll, and also it'll hopefully allow him to play inside the NA scene. Yeah. Which is better for him. Hopefully more opportunities for him and more money to be made for him in the AM scene potentially. And so, I mean, thoughts on Insight to the Ultra. Is there a world where he starts at some point this year?
I mean, I'm just happy to see that, like, we've talked about, like, the Challenger scene and then Team War and Singularity were the best in Europe, and then there's debates where it's like they might be the best in all of Challengers. Possibly better than some of even the pro teams, and he was on that European team. It's nice to see that get noticed and have somebody being picked up from that.
For sure.
And so it's like a valid pickup, right? It's not some random name out of nowhere. It's like a team that played really, really well, stronger than everybody else, and is a player on one of those teams. So I'm just happy to see him there. And does he have a chance to start? I think definitely. I mean,
based off of how they've done things.
Yeah, and then also seeing, like, Bance is kind of, not to roast Bance, but he's kind of like the guy who has to show up again to kind of prove himself to the fans and everybody else. And if he can't, Insight is that next up. And, like, he was on the second best or first best European team, possibly Challengers team in the whole world. So I think he's a great pickup as a sub, honestly.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, like, it's cool to see that the system properly working where, like, Challengers
talent's rising to the top.
You do well, you get noticed and you get signed into Pro League.
For sure.
So that was really cool to see.
Yeah. Singularity put out a little, like, goodbye to Insight.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's pretty cool. It's exciting to see our model of, like, developing talent and, like, signing guys that we hope can have a shot at the pro, to go pro, getting signed, sending them that way. It was, they were pretty grateful about that. And even though it was a tough year to do it because heading to 5v5.
Yeah.
Or going from 5v5 to 4v4, I mean. So
yeah. So I honestly think that that's only good for Call of Duty as a whole, but then also for people to want to grind Challengers, where it's like, okay, people are getting signed. I do have a reason to put my heart into the Challenger scene. That's cool.
For sure.
So, yeah, because I think that's one of, like, all of our worries were heading into this first season was like, will Challengers really even matter? Is there anything, like, well, they have a reason to grind Challengers besides just the money aspect. So.
Well, it's also like it's a valid sub in the sense, like, he can definitely come into play. And one, as we've seen, like, these rookies coming in, like, they become like these all-stars. He's like your young gun guy that could be that for you if you need it. Because 4v4 is the debate, like, is the veterans going to be the thing, or is it the new age, like the real thing that's going to start taking over COD?
Is the young talent the real deal? Yeah,
but Toronto's covered all their bases. They've got, Cammy and Kleenex, who are gunners, and then they got their two vets. But if the vets aren't showing up, you got, Insight, who's going to be a gunner. Like, depends on what ends up happening and how 4v4 plays out. But they've covered all their bases. Say what you want about the org, but they covered all their bases with this one.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm really excited about it. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think you nailed that on the head with Insight and the amateur scene. And now we've seen Hydra signed, we've seen Insight signed, and I'd imagine, we've seen LAG announce their full academy team. So slowly but surely, I'd imagine we're going to see more and more teams, slowly announce AM guys who are getting signed as the rosters are kind of getting finalized here, and as the amateur scene starts to shake out a little bit. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what teams decide to go with, like, the full-on academy, like aspect versus just signing, like, 2 subs or just 1 sub or, anything at all. So it is very fun. I'm excited about that for sure. So the other Cryptic Rostermania news was Wuskins tweeted, "They didn't accept us." Which, what does that mean? Does it mean Paris didn't accept him and Skrapz? Is it completely not related to COD at all? I don't know, but I think it was newsworthy.
Definitely. I mean, all the tweets are, like, maybe Paris is, nope, we don't want you.
Yeah.
Even if they were, like, begging for, like, minimum salary.
Yeah, literally.
It just, again, I'll say it, forever and ever until the end of time. How these two are like struggling right now to get on a team
Mind-blowing.
is mind-blowing.
Yeah, it
Really
is. It is. And Zed also tweeted like he said at this point, I will take anything.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in a tough spot as well, coming off of, Paris as well. I mean, Rex, any thoughts on it?
Dude, I mean, what's Paris doing? Like, they're trying to sell. It's the only explanation. They're trying to sell, and then they're having trouble selling. It's the only explanation.
Man, either that or they're just going for the cheapest of cheapest rosters, and they're just waiting out everything.
Well, if Wuskins, what they say too is that they'll take the minimum salary.
Right, every pro is saying that they would now.
But how true is that? I mean, come on, Wuskins and Skrapz. I mean, they weren't making minimum salary on the Ravens. I don't know how much they were making, but it wasn't minimum. It was probably I would assume double.
It was
or
between
something.
It was between 75 and 150. It had to been.
At least
so that's good money.
That's kind of a significant pay cut to take that, but it's also might be even more significant if they do take if they don't take it at all.
Challengers. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know, the whole people have their different ideas behind it. Last year nobody wanted to be a sub because they wanted to play in Challengers, so they just didn't take that, guaranteed salary because they could play in Challengers. How much did that work out for them? I don't know.
What do you think? Okay, in your mind, would you rather be a starter for Paris at 50K or a sub for the Huntsmen at 50K? But playing Challengers all year long.
Who's on my Paris team?
That's the question.
Because Paris is a brand. Your team is a completely different thing. So
for sure.
If you got teammates you can trust, you'll take that. And then being a Huntsman sub, do you want to build? You can easily build your brand with that.
And you can play in Challengers still, so you have a chance to win cash there. Potentially more cash than you would win in prize money from Paris.
Yeah, I would say the Huntsman route, you're gonna get good content and build your brand. With the Paris route, you have a chance to actually compete in the pro league
and build your reputation.
Yeah, because if you're a Huntsman sub, you're not playing in the pro league.
True.
No, you could also tank your reputation too. Depends on how good your team is. What if your team is terrible? Now it's like you're kind of lumped into that terrible thing. Yeah.
Like for me, I would take the Huntsman sub. I'd want to build a brand that's going to last me longer than competing.
If you're Wuskin and his content's kind of popping this year.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I can go to the Huntsman.
Yeah. It just
maybe that could really double my brand.
Yeah.
Double my viewership on Twitch.
Yeah.
There's some plus sides to that.
Yeah, because to me you can almost see Wuskin wanting to go that route, but then Skrapz really wanting to die hard compete and
play for Paris. Yeah.
Because
they've played on different teams before.
Oh yeah. I think you're starting to see some of that kind of dichotomy there, where some people are like, okay, I might have 1 year left of competing. Should I just go ahead and go full blast content creation?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're starting to see that kind of those decisions of, am I willing to get put through the pit of Challengers to compete just for the sake of competing, or should I just start creating content and just start building a brand? I don't know.
How much money is he making creating content? And I don't know. I guess I don't know how much he's making, but if he's making more, he's going to ask for what he's making creating content at least.
Right. For sure. Yeah, no, that's actually really interesting. And so that's why if you're Paris, I agree there is something weird going on with Paris. As if they're trying to sell, it's very possible.
They don't even tweet. I don't even know the last time they tweeted. They've gone MIA.
It's bad.
Yeah.
They've disappeared.
It's like they don't even exist right now as a team. Yeah. It legitimately does feel like that. And so that's why everyone's wondering maybe the rumors about them trying to sell were true.
Yeah.
And then the OpTic thing kind of just popped up out of nowhere, which is possible. And I wouldn't be totally surprised. So I'm sure the CDL office is going through a lot right now, trying to figure out what the heck is happening.
What do you do?
Yeah. The last thing that we want to talk about real quick, just in the news, was Attach, mentioned something that is happening after the beta. That was really cryptic. You might know by the time this goes up.
Probably.
So there's going to be a side mention because the beta ends, basically in a few hours now.
Yeah.
But yeah, something might be happening that he might have been referring to the zombie Warzone news, but he also could have been referring to like some sort of like exclusive access that pros are getting to the stream or to the beta of some way, like maybe like custom lobbies. Considering they are an option in the beta, like that's locked, maybe something like that. But who knows?
Maybe it's a show match. Like they are going to play a competitive match with like the competitive map set and like
which would be sick
on stream. It's going to be like, you know, Treyarch's way of kind of like shouting out the competitive scene.
That would be sick. I mean, we do have hardpoint and control in the beta, and like, how hard is it to turn on S&D? You could have some full series.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty dope. That'd be pretd dope, like a beta show match. That'd be so
amazing.
Sick. But
yeah,
maybe that would be the dream scenario. I doubt that's gonna happen, but you never know. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. All right, let's move on to our Cold War beta here and talk about some Call of Duty Cold War.
This is the price we pay for what we do.
So, Cold War. All right. I mean, I'm going to be posting a video about this before this podcast goes live. So, it's going to be an unfortunately weird time. I was making it today and I got behind on it. So, anyway, long story short, bad timing on this. But last week, we didn't get to talk about your guys' opinions on the beta because you hadn't played it yet.
Yeah.
So it was only questions. Now you both have played it, and obviously there's been a lot more experience in the beta from everybody in the community now this weekend, and they added in some maps and some things and made some changes, and so we got to go over what you guys think about this. So I want to hear both of you guys' kind of like overall thoughts on the game first of all, and your biggest worries and the things you're most happy. It's like basically a few pros and cons. Yeah. So Sam, start us off.
Yeah. Pros. I thoroughly enjoyed the guns. I was having a blast with pretty much every gun I was using. Loved obviously like the Krig and the Milano, I think was what it's called. The
Uzi.
MP5. Yeah, like those were the guns you were seeing the majority of. The M16 was nasty with that 3x scope.
Holy.
Oh my word. It was crazy. But like using the guns that like weren't even good, like the Commando. Let's see. There's another sub. I can't remember what the name was. It was the very last one.
The burst one?
I think so.
The thing was
kind of fun to use.
It's weird.
But yeah, like I don't know. Like I guess my thing
the
was
guns
like
felt fairly balanced.
Yeah. So gunplay was really fun. Let's see. Other things like there's obviously certain maps that are fun. Like Moscow is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Obviously there's some cons to the maps.
Yeah.
Also, the movement was, I heard mixed. There's a mixed bag.
Mixed reviews. Yeah.
It seems pretty fluid. Like it
there's
seems
definitely some
good.
issues though.
There's some issues
for sure.
Cons. Man, Miami and Cartel were rough.
Wowzers.
Very rough.
Yeah.
Movement, like I said, was plus and a minus. There's sometimes where it just felt like janky, like you couldn't track people on your screen.
Yeah.
Score streaks. I don't enjoy the second half of the games being pretty much where everyone gets all their streaks, and so it's just cluster.
Yeah, the second half is an absolute cluster of streaks.
Napalm,
it's insane.
Chopper Gunner, that kind of thing.
Yeah, literally.
Otherwise, yeah, those were kind of the main takeaways. But yeah,
Rex.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I loved the gunplay. I loved the Milano. Like when I play these CoD games, I usually end up just like playing the guns that are meta, or like I find one gun I just like a lot and I just use it all the time.
Yeah.
So
Did you decide
Milano,
to do PC with controller or PC mouse and keyboard?
PC mouse and keyboard. But Milano, I liked that gun a lot, to be
Disgusting.
honest. I mean, there are somewhat of complaints about the snipers. Like the flinch on it is a little. I could use some tweaking.
The flinch is. Well, there is no flinch.
Yeah,
for snipers.
I could use some tweaking. But other than that, I honestly liked sniping. I had a really fun time actually sniping in the game. Maybe because I just didn't have flinch, so like it was just more like whatever. But
yeah, point and shoot.
Yeah, but of all the guns, Milano was definitely my favorite. And I've always like been a sub player. The maps, they're just massive, and I try to look at it from a competitive perspective, and I just don't see 4v4. Honestly, oddly enough, I see 5v5 being better, at least on Moscow, than maybe 4v4 would be. It just seems that a little bit too big, but Moscow is definitely still viable.
For sure. Yeah, but yeah, Moscow's definitely the competitive one still.
Yeah, and that's obviously the best one. And this is my hot, I didn't mind Cartel so much as everybody else. Everyone else hated it, the bushes and everything. I honestly didn't mind it so much. I thought it was okay. Miami was a no-go for me. I just don't like dark maps.
Oh, yeah, Miami's bad.
And it was just so big. Like, you could be one side of the map, and, like, half of the team would be on the other side, and, like, you would never see the other half of the team because there's over there the whole time, and I just never would see them. So that, like, just the maps are just way too big. But all in all, I thought it was pretty fun, honestly. People were kind of roasting it. I was seeing, like, my first impressions, I was seeing a lot of people, like, saying a lot of bad things about it. But it wasn't as bad as people were making it out to be. I honestly liked the movement. I liked how gunfights worked out, too, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely agree with a lot of those things.
It slows you down a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the aim assist is something that I wanted to talk about a little bit more, though, because it's like, I legitimately think it makes no sense. Like, sometimes there's, like, insane amounts of aim assist, and you can literally just not move your analog stick at all, and, like, it'll track the guy behind walls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is absurd. And,
yeah, that's crazy.
Like, you will not move your analog stick at all, and it will, like, if someone jump shots, it'll follow the full jump shot. You know, like,
wow.
It is. There's moments where it's, but like, the problem is like, it's so unnatural to what COD was at times that, like, it sometimes is, like, hard to, like, ADS. Like, you ADS and, like, it's like already tracking when you're ADSing, and, like, it feels so weird.
Yeah.
And, like, I talk so much about in my live streams about how weird the ADS feels sometimes, and I'm like, it took me a long time to piece together that it was probably because of the aim assist when you're ADSing, which is, like, it's just weird how much they changed in that. And I agree, score streaks still so stupid.
Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about score streaks. Trash. Yeah. Please bring it back to just, like, I don't mind, but after death, please let it reset. I don't mind a score streak, but after death, please let it go away.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like literally playing kill races, you know, like, both of you get your chopper gunners in the second half, and you're both using your chopper gunners, like, trying to use them at the same time, and, like, whoever, you know, it's just like, I don't know. The score streak system does not logically make sense. Okay. And what else was I trying to say? They changed score streaks. They changed how aim assist works, and sniper flinch. Like, 3, like, very always the same in COD things that they have to mess with. Like, why? Why change 3 things that have literally been the same in every COD?
Yeah.
Why change them? Yeah. You know, that makes no sense to me.
So of the score streaks, let's say in competitive they make it so that they reset on death. Do you think score streaks are going to be will people be using them in competitive?
If we get more of them, maybe. I mean, right now,
I mean, they had the RC, they had the artillery strike.
Pros seem to be kind of tired of the RC cars, though. I mean, that was kind of like a thing of BO2, you know, and BO3.
Yeah.
I like them. They're so
like
fun.
The napalm or the artillery being used. Like,
the napalm is pretty obnoxious, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the artillery could be used, but like, I mean, they teased a lightning or like a Hellstorm missile in the original version, in, like, the multiplayer reveal. So I would imagine we'll get a Hellstorm, but then the question is, like, what will be the third kill streak if we're gonna have one? Otherwise, we might just have 2 again, like BO4, which is possible. And not the worst thing ever, but yeah, I agree. Like, that's a big question for me, is about how the score streaks work. It's absolutely, right now with this system, no chance it's competitive, 0% chance.
Yeah, but I hope they make it so they go away on death, and I hope the pros use kill streaks again. Yeah, in competitive, because it adds so much to the viewing experience, so much.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So that's a big problem. I think Control plays all right. I think the biggest worry is what's going to happen with trophy systems. I think I talked about it in the video as well. But, like, you know, right now you get 1 trophy system every minute and 20 seconds. And, you know, I think the only fix right now is that every person runs a trophy. All 4 people run a trophy. So you can get 4 trophies every minute and 20 seconds. Yeah. Or so. But, like, it feels weird, which means you wouldn't have any trophies at the beginning of the games either in a hard point. So it's like, I don't know, man. Those are the big question marks for competitive right now, and I get a little bit worried whether or not we're gonna get those things fixed quickly enough. Because it does feel like there's like some of those things where it's like the slide, the movement, the connection issues, the smoothness of like movements that like they needed like a few more months to like smooth out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to try and balance out those streaks, they also added that what was like the jets that come by and they kill everything in the sky.
Yeah.
And it's like a patrol. I actually never put it on, but I saw it there. I'm like, oh, that's how they're trying to balance out so many score streaks in the game, is if you put that on, then you could just get rid of them all.
Yes.
Do you know if they patrol it? Like if they kill one, do they stay there or do they only kill one and they're out? Like do they stay until something else is called in?
Yeah,
they
I actually legitimately have no clue.
Because that's how I think they're trying to balance it out, and people just weren't putting it on. But like, if it really bothers you, that's kind of like the smart play to do.
I know. Like, who's gonna do that though? You're playing in freaking
my own chopper
TDM
gunner, dude.
Yeah, or kill confirmed. Like, what? Who's gonna do that? So it's just like, I don't know. I hate the score streak system. It's so bad.
Yeah,
and that's a big. I could talk about that for a lot longer. But I mean, other things, competitively. I agree that sniping is really OP right now. That needs to get fixed.
Hella fun.
Yeah, it's definitely fun if you're sniping, but not if you're freaking playing.
Getting ripped off headies.
Yeah. And field mics are freaking so stupid, by the way. I hate field mics. They're so dumb.
All I used, dude.
Dude, they're so OP.
That's why I used it, of course.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, and it actually pisses me off.
You basically are seeing seeing the enemies through walls.
Yeah,
no, it's great.
Unfair.
Like, what? How does that even make sense? Like, it's like literally that needs to get removed from the game.
Yeah.
Like, there's no place in the game for that.
Yeah.
Also, I also got the death cam glitch.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
During control, so hopefully we don't got that anymore. That'll piss me off if we keep having that. But I don't know. I mean, any other thoughts? Again, I don't want to talk about it too much more because, like, I've already on the channel talked about it a lot, and we talked about it last week as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, any other thoughts specifically about competitive or the maps? Its maps are pretty bad. I mean, we're probably gonna have to have some throwback maps or hope.
Yeah, the throwback maps. It looks like. I mean, because you would think with these, I saw someone post like in these betas, typically they would want to like showcase sort of their best maps in these. Yeah. But do you think they're hiding their cards? Do you think they actually have competitive like viable maps? Because in Modern Warfare they used in the beta Hackney, I think, and Gunrunner, and like one other map.
I think the beta. No, I think it was Hackney, Cave, and Grasna Raid. Right? Weren't those the 3 beta maps?
I don't know, but either way, but they definitely had Hackney in it, which was a competitive map.
Yeah, I'd assume Moscow's our competitive map, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back to BO4, they didn't have very many good maps in that beta. If I remember right, they had Seaside, Contraband, Payload, and Gridlock. So I mean, they had 3 competitive maps in that one, but I mean, they weren't the best competitive maps, in that beta originally. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not like losing all hope yet.
No, yeah, no. I was gonna say like I'm not like scared yet. Like we have 3 maps: Satellite Moscow, or 4. Satellite Moscow
4, and Cartel. Satellite Moscow, Cartel, Miami.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I've got a feeling, like, I don't know. I've got a feeling that we're gonna see some good competitive maps. So
they also had Seaside Control in the beta last year in BO4.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna give up all hope. I wasn't too happy with what I saw, but I don't know. You never know. They could be hiding an ace up their sleeve.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of all depends on how many maps they end up launching with. Like if they launch with 12, I'm a little worried. Yeah. Or if they launch with 10, I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
I'm a lot worried if they launch with 10. If they launch with 16, then I'm like, okay, well, there's probably some good ones there.
Yeah.
But
are they all going to be that big though?
I know that's what's
Moscow
weird.
Like can be competitive, but like it was a little big still.
Oh, for sure, it was definitely big still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I 100% agree with you that the size of the maps is definitely a little scary, and hopefully there's some more options when the game actually comes out that aren't just those 4. Yeah. Because otherwise, again, like we said before, we are going to have to be playing slums. Hopefully they bring back like, standoff, raid, and there's maybe some Bo3 maps with zip lines, and that's what we're playing on in competitive, like Redwood and Stronghold and Fringe and stuff. So, all right, let's move on.
Yeah,
let's move on. Actually, real quick, I would want to at least mention like the other game modes, like Ground War. Did you guys play any Ground War or Dirty Bomb?
I played Dirty Bomb.
Played some Dirty Bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Rex, you can go ahead because I don't got anything to say on that.
I personally, I think it's kind of fun, to be honest. I thought it was all right. I think it's like a cool twist on Warzone. Like, I'm not much more of like a battle royale sort of guy, but something like Dirty Bomb's like it was more up my alley. I thought it was fun. You work with your team to blow up these bomb sites and get these points and stuff. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
If you get a full squad, it's fun. Just by myself, but with a full squad, I think it could be really fun.
To me, it was just a cluster. I just did not enjoy it. I don't know.
How much time did you actually put into it?
A game.
One game?
Yeah.
I mean, I played maybe like, 45 minutes of it or maybe an hour of it. Yeah. And the first 2 games, I was like, what is happening? But once you started getting a good feel for like, okay, you need to parachute into these areas to like get behind the people and like, I mean, it's a whole game mode based on shooting people from behind. Yeah. Which, you could make a game mode better than that, and they could probably make some tweaks. I tweeted about like how they should probably like add like a wave respawn so when people are actually spawning in. Because otherwise you have to check the skies constantly. Like you're in freaking like in World War II checking for paratroopers. Like constantly. What is happening? Yeah.
Constantly. Like you're never safe in that game mode. It's like what is happening? Like it's if they fix the respawns, then maybe it could be pretty cool. Like you can't spawn in certain areas, like you can't parachute down in certain areas, or like you said, there's a wave of spawns, so like but
or each team spawns like in a different area.
Yeah, it just seems so just chaotic and but yeah,
I feel like
maybe I gotta put more time in it.
I feel like the trick, you got to slow yourself down a little bit. Like you got to hold, like you choose a bomb site and you stick with that bomb site until you're able to blow it up. You got to just hold it and just hold the perimeter, hold inside the building. That's how you don't get flanked. It's like you don't go off into nowhere land when you're still trying to blow up another bomb site. Like,
yeah, I played one where like I went into a bomb site and killed 3 people from behind, and then they had 2 of them had HCXDs. And so I just waited to hear someone pull out the HCXD and killed 5 more people with HCXDs.
Yeah, wow. So it's just a game of like breaking and retaking.
It was so dumb. I mean, like it's definitely not like a. It's a like join in, have some fun. It's not very serious, which is why I kind of had a good time. Yeah. We're like, when I join into a pubs match, especially in this beta, skill-based matchmaking and the sweatiness of it. Like I feel like I'm playing in the Olympics. Every domination match on satellite is the Olympics. But when I went into Dirty Bomb, it felt more like I was, playing some street ball with the boys. So like it felt like a little bit more fun in that regard, like a little less sweaty. But maybe that's with like the size of the map, like the amount of lobbies and stuff. I don't know. But all right. Do you just want to get right into this debate, this discussion, this top 10 most valuable pros?
Oh man.
Yes. You ready? All right, boys. Let's freaking do it. Let's get right into it. Alrighty, baby. Let's get into this. So I guess how we're going to do it, we're kind of trying to decide before the show how we're going to do this is like, we're going to go top to bottom or bottom to top, 10 to 1, 1 to 10. We're going to decide we're going to try to go 10 to 1. It gets a little bit tough here at the bottom though, because like you're picking the 10th out of 50 other guys. So it becomes pretty tough here at the bottom to figure out who that 10th guy is. So we might have to throw out a handful of options. Guys who feel like kind of fit into this tier, and we'll go from there. All right. So if you want to throw out like 1 or 2 names, and then we can all throw out 1 or 2 names to kind of throw into this area and then start discussing from there. Guys, how we're debating this, or how I guess we probably define how we're going about most valuable.
Yeah.
We're gonna go about it, not in the top 10 most talented players, because I've made a video about that, the top 15 most valuable, most talented players, best players in COD. And we've talked about that before in the podcast, but we're deciding most valuable, emphasis on valuable, what a guy brings to a team, the value that he adds to a team, and the true meaning of most valuable player can sometimes get lost in the MVP of the season, where it generally is just awarded to the best player. But sometimes the best player is the most valuable player, which is definitely the case sometimes. But regardless, I'm ranting. I feel like, does that kind of make sense, Rex, Sam? On a decision of what valuable means, how much this player brings to a team.
Right.
Absolutely.
The intangibles.
The intangibles along with the skills and what he does in game, all of it combined into one to bring value to a squad. All right. And this is a very meaning of very true value. And we can argue how much one thing works to another, but I've already over-explained it and over-exaggerated at this point.
That's okay.
Sam, throw out some names, and then Rex, throw out some names after that.
I think, sorry, do you want to go first, Rex?
No,
Sam, start.
Okay. I think a really good player to have in probably the 10th area, and let me know what you guys think, but I think Parasite would be a good to start at the bottom.
Interesting. So you're interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not technically a pro, but he's a potential pro.
He's still in the scene. As in he's still playing. Rex, you're giving a look here.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know. If we're gonna say Parasite, then that opens up the world a little bit. I would, yeah. So I mean, I'm down with Parasite at 10. My other names I had was, I actually had 4 names in there, but I said
again, there's a lot of guys to consider.
I had Looney, Zero, Silly. I had those kind of in my 10th area. I even had Envoy in there, but putting a young gun kind of freaks me out. And he's not that he's a young gun, but
we're gonna have some debates.
Yeah, we are.
We are about to have some debates.
I already know.
I didn't, but Parasite, honestly, I could do Parasite too.
My thinking is, I think Parasite's in a unique situation where he's been an OG, right? From the beginning. I feel like he's one of the few, you can throw in fellow Exotic, those guys in there too. But Parasite seems to be in a unique situation where he's been at the top, but now he's kind of fighting his way back. That's why I threw him in there, because I know he's not a pro.
This is going to be really tough
and
to go
he's
from
a
the
clear
bottom
leader
to the top
of
here.
every team he's on. He's the leader
I'm reconsidering
of that
our
team.
approach from bottom to top, because this is really tough.
I know.
Because there's basically I think there's 15 guys we could talk about here.
Probably.
Maybe this is the best to have a discussion at the end, because otherwise we could be here all day about
who
which
do you
guy.
have? Who do you have at number 10 then?
I have 10 guys listed at 10.
Oh, give us
10
2
guys. Holy cow.
Should we start from the top? I legitimately am reconsidering how we should do this, because otherwise, what? Otherwise, we're gonna keep having the conversation about, well, he's higher on my list. We're gonna keep teasing how high these certain guys are. So I feel like maybe we should just start from the top and go from there. Otherwise,
I'm
down.
down.
all right, guys, we are vetoing our original way.
Scratch.
We're starting from, even though we wanted to kind of keep the hype for who's the most valuable player. I think with this discussion, it's honestly more interesting to see who's actually going to be inside the top 10 at the end of the discussion, and who's all going to be there. Because the top 10 players are very valuable. There's 10 to 15 guys who bring a lot of value to certain squads, tie their teams together, and that's what we're going with now. So, okay, let's flip the debate, flip it on its head. The most valuable player in the league, and we'll work down the list from there. Which names do we want to throw out here? Obviously, Simp's going to be in the discussion. Sam, do you have a guy that you want to throw out there?
The top of my list, how do you not say Crim and Clay?
Oh, we're going that route.
Yeah.
That's what you just got me thinking about, because I have Clayster as number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
But here's the
Simp is not a bad choice either. But it's just I don't know, the results showed consistency with Clayster, that leadership there, that veteran,
I guess the thing with Simp is,
we're gonna start debating intangibles versus what they're doing in game here. It's gonna be a tough debate,
because Crim and Clay, yeah. So
Crim and Clay proved it.
It's gonna be really hard, because Crim and Clay have been doing.
They
it
also had these 3
consistently.
guys in their team named Shotzi, Hook, and ILLeY.
That they
Yes.
like were the ones who like dadded them. Like,
I think Simp is by far the most valuable player.
Empire would not
value
have been
that he brings
Empire
in
with
respawn.
Simp, though. If they replace, Crim or Clay with Simp,
You're right.
I
They
don't
would have
know.
been better.
Maybe. Don't know if they would have won the champs though. Because FaZe didn't win champs.
They got second.
When it
Yeah,
came
they got
down
second
to it,
to Crim and Clay.
when it came
So
down
to Shotzzy and ILLeY. I would have Shotzzy higher than Crim and Clay.
So are you admitting Shotzi's better than like everybody on the FaZe team?
so
No.
you're putting a whole lot of weight on in-game skill, on gun skill,
Not gun skill, but like would they bring in all 3 game modes
because
in game? I mean, Simp is debatably the most valuable S&D player, one of the
Because-
most valuable S&D players, as well as Respawn.
I'm a firm believer that Dallas won because of play calling and strats, which
Agreed.
is pretty much 100% because of Clay and Crim.
And what we've always said has been the downfall of FaZe is that they're like, they can shoot things, but their strategy has always been, when they were weak was like when you could really see it. That's where they were lacking the
I had
most.
Clay around 12
Oh,
on my
word.
list.
Oh,
That's- that's
so who?
wild, bro.
Envoy is what, like 2?
4.
God.
See, here's the problem with this is that we're all waiting so hard on different things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I'm valuing how much a player brings, like to each game mode specifically and to a team as a whole, and what role they play for that team. Main AR is the easiest role to play, so they get nerfed a little bit. They get nerfed a little bit because the value that they bring. Again, there are X factors that come in with the in-game leadership, the shot calling, the communication, and the field organizing. Like especially someone like Arcitys brings, that he is incredibly valuable to a team because of how he directs the field and like commands the troops.
I agree.
And like that is like what, of course that's what Formal and Crim are doing. I mean, or Clay and Crim are doing. And like I agree that they're definitely valuable, but like I think to me, when you also have to consider their in-game 100% their in-game skill as well, they're definitely valuable. And like I think I'm totally fine with them being inside the top 10. But I think the slayers, the guys who are out there, pushing the slaying aspect plus insertion destroy, when you add in their search and destroy, that's where like the value comes in as well. So that's why I
Crim
think
and
Simpson
Clay
won.
were both on that team, and they won the championship. They beat FaZe, who was like the god team. But you still are putting
And then
FaZe
in
players
BO4
above them, and you're putting all these. You have Clay at 12. He was on the championship team. He has 3 rings.
FaZe was on the semifinals team who won freaking 3 events on the year.
I don't even know. I'm sorry. What did you say?
FaZe dominated the whole year as well. They got second at champs. There's like they got last.
Yeah, but they lost champs like pretty handedly.
But oh my word.
This is gonna be an issue, boys. What do we?
They didn't win. You can say, oh, it was Shotzzy and ILLeY and Hoop. But it's like, but FaZe was like, you could argue all 5 of those guys were supposed to kind of be better.
They made a few bad play calls in one series in the winners finals. They could have
But that's what
easily won
makes
the
all the
winners
difference.
finals.
That's what makes all the difference.
All the difference.
Crim and Clay won it,
Between
dude.
winning and not winning.
2 of the old guys that you don't even have in your top 10 were the ones who won the champs, and like, and then back to back with Clay. Crim was on like the OpTic dynasty when won multiple times. It doesn't make sense
I
not to
bodied
put them
Clay
there.
more for the content because I knew this would create for some fiery discussion. But I don't know. What's the argument against Simp at number 1? Because I just don't understand how he's not number 1.
Only 2 years of experience.
I mean, you could say
Being the
experience, but the
MVP
wisdom of
debatably
the
in 2
game,
seasons.
the mentality of the game. Can he bring in somebody new and teach them and make them a better
But
team
why
and
is
cohesive
that
unit?
more valuable than actually dominating every freaking map?
Because that's how you win the grand champs. That's how you win champs.
You don't win champs without having
You
guys like
can't- here's
Shotzzy,
the
ILLeY,
thing.
and Hoop.
Here's the thing. Clayster's only been in the game so long because he has a strategy. Simp, like nobody's going to be forever the best player until the day they die. Eventually things start happening and you have to bring other things to the table. And that's what Clay brings. Simp, we don't know if he can even bring that yet. He has hints of it, but he doesn't even have the experience to be able to bring that into a team. Whereas Clay can, Crim can, these other veterans can. Simp doesn't have
Yeah,
that
but
yet.
I feel like
Not
you
saying
have to, at the end of the
won't.
day, how you play in game matters more than just one. Like matters more than how you develop talent.
You're acting like Clay and Crim were terrible.
They weren't terrible.
They
but
were
they were
great.
like,
They were pretty good.
I mean, on the season, Crim was okay. On the season, Crim was okay.
Well, Clay was pretty good.
And on the season, Clay was solid, you know. But like,
And then they
probably,
coached up Hook and ILLeY in them, dude.
They were probably around top 20 players.
You're gonna get a consistently good team with Clay, and there's not gonna be a whole lot of fall off. Whereas with Simp, we don't know where the fall off's gonna happen.
Oh, the fall off.
It
What
could
fall off?
happen.
He
We don't
only
know
won
what-
COD champs and he won COD champs and the playoff, the CWL playoffs last year. And
With Clay,
he was the
with Clay on the
semifinals
team.
of COD champs this year
With
and
Clay on the
MVPs in
team.
tournaments.
With Clay on the team, dude.
Clay was on that team.
And without Clay on the team this year.
And
he was leading his team this year.
He gives Clay credit for like helping, coaching him up, dude. It doesn't. Come on, Clay is the one who groomed him, man.
Okay, I'll give Clay 10.
Oh God.
I can give Clay top 10 for sure.
Gosh.
But there's more than just how you develop talent and more than just play calls. I mean, obviously, play
What's the
calling is
staying
important.
power, dude? Like Simp, we don't know where he's gonna be in 5 years.
What does that matter? Clay could be in a grave in 5 years, as for all we know.
The value Clay brings, Clay can go
Not
into
even a
any
giggle.
team, and you know
Come
that
on,
team
man.
is going to be a solid team no matter what.
So okay. This is where the struggle is going to come in, because are we going to talk about most valuable, within a certain time span, or
Maybe we should all have our own 3 lists, because maybe we're not going to be able to come to consensus
'Cause,
here.
like,
I can have Simp in the top 5. I considered him even in like the top 4, but like, come on, man.
I don't think you
To
cannot.
put
I don't think
Clayster down there, it's just like, come on.
come on. To have Simp not at 1 is come on. The value that he has in S&D plus respawn in the past 2 years has been undeniably the best in the CDL over 2 years.
I think
Alright,
it's just
Sam,
very Here's the thing. We will not get to consensus because we are clearly all value in different things.
What do you have at
Like,
number 1, Sam?
My like top, like my tier 1 was like Simp, Clay, and Crim, because here's the thing.
Riding the fence.
You picked both of them. You picked both of them at number 1.
I'm not though, because do you value Simp's 2 years over Clayster's 10? Like, because Rex, you are technically right. What if Simp just completely falls off next year, which is probably not going to happen?
Probably not. I just in top 5.
Let me finish.
Okay.
If Simp were to theoretically fall off next year, let's say Clay and Simp fall off next year, who was more valuable?
That's outrageous.
Was it Clay or was it Simp?
Then you're taking away everything, all the value that Simp currently has. Who cares about next year?
I'm not though.
If you're creating a franchise right now and you could only take one player as your captain, who are you taking? Simp or Clay? Obviously Simp. Like if you're building a team today, who's the most valuable? If you have a team today, if you're playing competitive Call of Duty today, who's the most valuable? It's Simp.
Again, I had Simp in my tier 1 bucket.
Okay, do we still want to do a consensus top 10? Because I don't know if we're going to be able to come to consensus here.
This is going to be crazy.
I can put Simp at number 1, but Clay has got to be like in the top 5.
Clay, 12 is...
No one wins 3
60
championships
pros.
by accident, dude. No one wins 3 championships by accident.
There's 60
no one goes
pros.
back to back by
Being
accident.
a 12th most valuable player is very valuable. I feel like that's not a dig on him at all.
Clay has a set, solid strategy to what he does. Simp got his first year he came in. Clay helped pick Simp up. Clay was part of the organization of the team of creating Empire. They
It's
won
crazy
champs.
the most valuable player in history went 1,000 days without winning a tournament.
But he's in the top 6 consistently.
Oh, I know. I mean, since then, he's been great, but I'm just saying.
He's always going to be
Simp hasn't even
solid.
played 1,000 days.
Always going to be solid.
So?
But yeah, so
I'm not even sure if Simp's been alive for 1,000 days.
he may not have been.
Yeah.
Clay can build game-winning squads off of nothing, whereas Simp, he got that star power off the rip. So he's automatically going to be assigned to teams like that FaZe squad where it's a God squad. Imagine if Simp didn't play so well.
But
what if
he
they
did.
didn't win champs?
But they did.
What if he was just like, somebody else who like
But he's not.
They were good, but they weren't like TJ. What if he was just like TJ, you know, where he's good, but like
what if Tom Brady was playing Premier League soccer? Like what? I don't know what you're trying to say here. So do we want to do Simp at number 1? We need it. So we have to get this podcast going. Do you want to do Simp at number 1?
Simp number 1.
Can I win the debate? Can I fling my schlong around?
You sure can.
And get okay. So I forgot, guys, to tell you about the. Oh, I almost clicked on Rex's TV cam. All right, so we got Simp at number 1. We had a technical difficulty. We had to figure that out. But we decided that in the interest of time, what we're going to do is how we're going to approach this is going to have since we already decided that Simp is number 1, but we're gonna get the rest of the 9 others, get them all just in the list, and then decide the order instead of deciding the order one by one. So we can kind of like, iron it out and simplify this thing from here. So let's get some nominees out here. We can kind of get the ones that we feel like are locks inside the top 10, and then we might have to debate the final like 3 or so out of the list. So
Arcitys.
Arcitys inside the top 10. We can go from there. Arcitys inside the top 10. Also, this is the list we're using, by the way, guys. Whoops. Oh, that's the TV. There's the list we're using right here. So we got Simp at 1, and we're going through the rest. We'll show that in a second. Arcitys inside the top 10. Abezy's inside the top 10.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, he was at 2 for me, so I will go there.
Shotzzy.
Shotzi's no good at S&D, man. All right. Fine.
But I mean, at this point, he probably is, right? He won the MVP this year. I feel like he has to be in the top 10.
This is just a talent list.
No, it's not. Because Shotzzy won the MVP this year.
All right, let's do Envoy, do Octane.
Clay
Dashy,
is in there.
TJ.
Oh, my word. Now he's just being annoying. TJ, huh?
Clay.
Your boy Tej.
Clay's in there.
So Clay's a lock at the top 10 as well, I'd imagine, based off our conversation. So that's 5 that are locks right now.
You gotta have Crim in there, right? Are we not
going
to
have Clay? You have to have Crim, dude. Because
this is why
we have 2 different ideas of what valuable is.
I wanted them to be 11 and 12.
I don't understand how you. I don't know.
I think Sam might have the best list out of us all. Then
you really had Abezy at 2.
For sure.
I didn't even have Abezy on my list
because of the value he brings in S&D and hardpoint. He's a dual player that's so good in both. And he's
how much of a leader is he though? Like.
Leadership matters, but like, why are we? This isn't the 10 most leadership
your
players.
List is literally
Slasher's
just
number
how
1.
talented they are. Like how just like they're good at the game. This could just be your top 10 best players.
Was Clay the MVP of the season?
Your top 10 best players. That's all it could be.
What do you mean? Clay and Crim weren't in the MVP race for the whole season. Like there's a reason why the MVPs were the MVP race because they were valuable on the year.
Well, I think we could all agree that their value was a lot of the gun skill, though.
You're not going to win if you don't have those guys on your team.
Okay, but then that is a discussion. What are we valuing here? That's always the discussion.
Maybe our whole segment should have been what's more valuable, talent or leadership,
longevity.
But we'll see. Yeah, there's so many things like longevity, talent.
But I had that as a video idea that I was going to do later in the next 2 weeks. But
because I get your point, like where you have the guys who were in the MVP race from the CDL, but I think that CDL was valuing very much so high stats,
Like
kills.
in my mind, Arcitys is definitely more valuable than Clay and Crim, like by far, because he does exactly what they do, but he's also more talented.
Does he do exactly what they do? Because the Huntsmen didn't win.
Yeah, because they had a role problem because Formal is their main AR, but really Arcitys should have been their main AR.
Well,
but Clay's
team didn't have a role problem, so.
Well, yeah, because they had 3 guys who fit exactly into their roles.
Yeah, I wonder how that happened. I wonder if they organized their team in that
That's
way.
Why
I wonder if they
Formal's
coached up their team to fit into those roles.
That's why Formal's not in my top 10. What do you mean?
All right, who do we got next? I mean, if we have Clay, you got to have Crim. It just has to be
I would
that
say
way.
Slasher has to be in the top 10.
I have Slasher in my top 10.
I had Slasher top 10. Yeah.
Of course you guys do.
What? Bro. I don't know how you're surprised. Like, you seem overly surprised that we're having pros that have solidified themselves.
No, it's fine. I mean, I of course have Cellium in my top 5.
They have consistently good teams.
But Cellium, I can be lenient on because he he wasn't like a god in BO4, where like Abezy and Simp both were insane in BO4. So like I'm okay to like give some leniency on Cellium because it was Modern Warfare was by far his best game of his career. I mean, he's only a 2 as a pro. So I can give some leniency on Cellium if you don't want him to be a lock. But
I'm fine with throwing Envoy into the mix. So I'll give you Envoy.
Of course,
I'm fine with throwing Envoy in there because I think he's a leader for his team. I think he's a leader for the Huntsmen, to be honest.
Okay. So other guys that would need to be considered: Octane,
Parasite.
I would say Attach, Hook, ILLeY, Dashy, Kenny, Formal, Scump.
What about Apathy?
I mean, maybe Apathy as well. Those are all kind of guys to consider.
See, I had Formal in my top 10, but there's a reason why I had Formal in my top 10.
I mean, I have Formal in my top 10, but I'm not confident.
I would say Scump is more valuable than Formal, though.
I have Scump more valuable than Formal, too.
You know what I also was considering, too, was Brand.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did.
I don't think you can consider that when talking about like just COD specifically, though. Okay. I think we're kind of just talking about COD specifically.
I typically been like looking how long have their teams like just been consistently pretty good? Like, have they been wavering in and out, in and out?
I mean, I think another fun off-season conversation we could have is like 10 like most valuable players. Like if the 20 most, if you were building a team, I want to pick this guy players. Like that could be a fun list to make as well.
Yeah.
But we can do that another time. Right now, we're considering just Call of Duty.
I'm fine with putting Octane on it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Octane needs to be in the list.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
So we have 2 spots left here. So we're sitting at... here we go. I'll show you guys the list that we got right now. Oh, my word, not the TV. I forgot. We're in a different order right now. I need to pull out the TV more. But that's our list right now. So we got 2 more guys to consider here. Who are you guys looking at here on your list? We do not have Crim locked in currently. We do not have Scump, Hook, Scump, Formal, Hook, Dashy, Attach, ILLeY, Kenny. You could. There's a lot of guys you can consider here. You know, Skies,
Scump and Crim are my guys, to be honest.
Who would be your 2? Would you say who would be your last 2 in this list? Rex.
Crim. I think Crim's got to be on the list.
Okay,
I think
Crim
my last 2. Crim. Scump is such like a weird case. Like I feel like, you know, I never want to give credit where it's not due, but I think Scump, I can say he probably deserves it. So I would say Crim and Scump. Because Scump just like he's always been on OpTic. He's always been on the good teams because that team was OpTic, so they just had the money to shell out for it, you know. But also he had the dynasty thing, so it's like, how much into consideration you take that? He didn't really swap their team. They got a good team and they just kind of stayed with it, you know?
Yeah. Sam, I mean, who would your 2s be then?
Man, I really wanted Formal, obviously, but I know that's more of a very heavy personal bias. I'm thinking about Hugh. I feel like Hugh is very slept on, but I think he's very valuable.
I don't think I know what you're saying. Maybe you're right.
Yeah. I mean I totally get that.
Gotta put Crim.
I'm okay with locking in Crim.
Yeah.
Inside the top 10. Okay. So we got Crim locked in as well. So we got one more spot now. Man.
I like
You got
Apathy.
some big names out there. Scump, Formal, Dashy, Scump, Formal, Kenny, Apathy, Attach, ILLeY, Hook, Dashy.
Scump and Apathy are the ones that stick out to me more. Dashy literally got subbed out this season. How can you even...
Cellium would be like one. I know you've already mentioned him, but Cell maybe.
Again, Modern Warfare just comes off as like there's some flukes during the year.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Dude,
know, is Gunless in consideration?
Though. It doesn't matter what the game is.
Is Gunless in consideration?
I mean, I would say no. How many teams he's been off and on, and like the drama that like
recently?
I mean, he gets, you know, it's you know, like we said, not no shots, but like his teams get toxic and like he ends up getting dropped for one reason or another because people aren't getting along. It's not doesn't really provide value, you know.
Gunless provides value in that he's like a drill sergeant. Like he gets your team going, but again, has it worked for him? I don't know.
It kind of did with Rise.
Kind of did, yeah.
But yeah.
Man,
it also
we don't have Cellium
value,
locked in. I would like to lock in Cellium. guy
value
would be
can also be
Cellium here.
attributed to like, it depends who their teammates are. Depends how much value you're going to be bringing too, right? Like some people are going to bring more value to certain teammates than to other teammates.
I think my vote would go for either Scump. Give your final three here. I would go either Scump, Cellium, or man, we don't have Priesta either. Oh my word, we forgot about Priesta. I might have to put Priesta there. You'd have Cell before Priest?
Yeah.
Really? Oh man, Sam.
I would say
my four are Scump. My three would probably be Cell, Priesta, and Scump. Sam, who are yours?
Yeah, I'd for sure either say Cell, Formal.
We can do Cellium. That's fine.
Cellium would probably be that.
It's hard to leave Scump out of the top 10 though. But Cell, leaving Priest outside the top 10 hurts. This is why I had Clay and Crim outside the top 10. I forgot I skipped Priest on my list. He was at 11.
But here's the thing: Scump was like on that. I don't know. I won't talk
Priest
about
was at
it.
10 on my list. Oh,
But why not Apathy?
Man.
Apathy, I feel like was a good choice too, man.
Yeah, but
But if we're doing currently most valuable, would you pick Apathy
No
over
way.
any of these guys?
no way.
I would say no.
I think Apathy has bounce back potential for sure.
Yeah, Rex is high on Apathy.
I do. I have always thought Apathy was great. He showed World War
I
II.
think my
He
vote
was
would
a
be
champ.
Priesta.
Black Ops 3. He was a champ.
Because we don't have any of that Rokkr squad. I feel like I'd want Priest on the list.
Why?
I'm okay with putting the Priest or Cell.
Cellium. I Cellium before Priesta for me.
Okay, I guess we'll go Cellium then. I mean, mine would go Cellium and Priesta back to back here. I mean, I wouldn't have, again, I mean, there's a few guys I wouldn't have here, but I'm okay with that if we want to go with that. Cellium? We go with that? Can we live with that?
Dude,
No
so you're
Priesta,
telling
no
me
Scump in
you
the
would
top
have
10.
Slasher on that list before Clay and Crimsix?
I don't know. Maybe.
You're crazy. Okay.
Jeez.
I mean, okay, so now we got a debate here.
Yeah. Okay. No. Before we go, this is how it's gonna go. Josh is gonna be putting all the leadership qualities at the very bottom. Rex is gonna be putting the leadership qualities at the very top. So we need to find a way to make this 10 work.
Do we just go person by person? Rex picks, then you pick, then I pick, and we just go down the list here?
I think
I don't
Sam
know.
has to be the mediator.
Gosh. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I honestly would be okay with Sam making the ranked list.
Okay, all right. Let's not do that.
He's honestly a happy medium between us
Josh
both.
is scared that we'd be putting Clay at number
Josh
2.
just wants hype beast gun runners, and then I want the leaders who actually form teams and can actually lead teams to success.
Oh my word. Okay,
This is
so
amazing.
do you want to start at number 2 here or number 10? Let's start at number 10. At number 10, I would put Crimsix. Maybe Clay.
Shotzzy.
Either Clay or Crim. Which one do you have lower, Crim or Clay?
I have Crim lower.
I honestly might put Crim higher than Clay.
I think everyone's got different everything.
This is why Sam needs to make the list. Josh is gonna make me so mad.
Gosh.
Rex is gonna make me so mad.
Josh, you're just a hype beast. You're just picking players who are just.
What do you
just
mean?
look
No,
like
I'm
they're
not.
gun
I'm the
runners,
right
as
one.
if
I'm
they're
right
not
here.
being led by
oh
anything.
my gosh.
I'm right.
Josh is always right, Rex, no matter what. Doesn't matter.
Let's put up a vote. See who wins.
Yeah. I wonder who would win.
Yeah, because I'm right.
Yeah. I would choose Clay over Crim. Right now, I would.
I would too, easily.
In most valuable.
Yes.
I mean, I'm okay with
You
it.
just
Okay, so we
said.
have-
You just
So
said.
do you want to have Crim at 10? Do you want to have Crim at 10? Oh, by the way, I'm gonna copy this list over to the right here, so we can that's our list of people. Now we can number them 1 to 10 here. So, okay. So do you want to have? Are you okay with Crim at 10, or is there another player that you feel very passionately should be at 10? Which I imagine there probably is.
I mean, like
I would put Slasher below.
Slashers below Crim and Clay.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, Shots is Shotzzy who Shotzzy is without Crim and Clay?
I mean,
We
maybe
will
he
find out.
might be now. That's what you have to consider. I mean, like he learned what he learned. At some point, the apprentice becomes the master.
You want to put
after
10-9-8.
one season.
Slasher Crim Clay, don't you?
If that was the
I
case, they
wouldn't
would
be
have got rid of
opposed.
Crimsix, like, too, and picked up somebody else.
I would put number 10 Slasher. That's what I would do.
All right, I can handle that, sure. But
All right.
Now, what Josh wants to do is put now Crim and Clay right above him.
yeah, he does. Where's
So-
Abezy in the top 5? Like, it doesn't compute so much for me.
Oh, of course it doesn't. He's one of the most well-rounded players in the league. He's very
He's
communicative.
great. Don't get me wrong. He is amazing player. What intangibles does he bring into a team?
He's like the most communicative player on the Huntsmen. He talks more about what's happening in game.
Abezy? Abezy's
What?
not on the Huntsman. Envoy, I'll put above Abezy.
You said Huntsman, to be fair.
Wait, you were talking about Envoy.
Abezy.
I was
Oh, I thought you were talking
Abezy.
about Envoy.
No, Envoy is
Abezy?
above Abezy for me. Envoy's above Abezy for me. Envoy's above Celium for me.
I'm fine with Envoy being above Celium. Abezy, though, I think the talent is insane with Abezy. He plays the role that needs to be played. He's willing to do whatever it takes. He's incredible in S&D. Abezy and Envoy are very close to me, but like, who's at number? I mean, would you really put Clay at 2? That's impossible.
I mean, I had Clay at 1 on my list.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
I'm fine with Simp at 1. He's in my top 5, so I'm okay with it because I think he's a good leader as well, and he's a phenomenal player, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. I think we should start from the bottom here.
How do we think of, okay, I was going to suggest RC's at 2 because I feel like RC's is a very common thread here of him being high on our list.
I'm not opposed to it, but
Right? Yeah.
You
okay.
want Abezy above RC's.
I'm okay with RC's at 2. I mean, again, we're nitpicking hairs here, guys. I don't
Yeah.
want you guys, again, if some stupid screenshot ends up on freaking Twitter because of this, I'll be so pissed because
Parasite?
we're splitting hairs here. There's a lot of context here. And that's why it's just like,
Yeah.
you know.
Remember, there's people value different things differently. People have different opinions. That's okay. You don't need to roast
philosophies on how to
people.
build a COD team.
Yes. So, hey, guess what? It's okay. If you disagree, it's okay.
I'm okay with putting RC's at 2. I don't feel great about it, but I'm okay with it.
I feel like okay is going to have to be the standard here.
Yeah,
because
okay,
no one's
fine.
gonna feel
We'll put
good about
RC's
it.
at 2. I'm fine with that. Rex, you okay with that?
Okay,
Okay.
RC's, we can go 2.
Moving
That's
on.
fine.
Okay, so
Okay,
at
let's-
9,
Yeah.
I'm okay to let Celium be at 9.
I can handle that.
All right, so we've knocked. What's happening here? No. So we've knocked Arcitys and Celium off the list.
I would put Crim right above that.
I'm okay with Crim at 8. Rex, can you be okay with Crim at 8? Is there
Yeah.
another guy? Who would you? I mean, like, I would say Octane's more valuable than Crim for sure, like by a long shot.
I don't, but we can put Crim there. I mean, no, I mean, Oh, we already have Slasher gone. Okay, yeah. That's fine. Crim at 8, that's fine.
Okay, so we got Crim. Oh, we're flying, boys. We're flying.
We're flying.
Now at 7, our remaining players are Abezy, Shotzzy, Clay, Envoy, and Octane.
Okay, out of, like,
I would put
Envoy, I think,
Clay.
is number 3. I think we're going to have a good consensus with Envoy at 3.
Okay,
Envoy at 3?
I'd say Envoy 3.
I'm okay with that. I would probably put him at 4 or 5, but I'm okay with 3. I can work with 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, fine. We can consensus on 3. Octane, I would put Octane above Clay as well, but
I'd have Octane, I mean...
I would go Clay, Octane, Shotzzy, Abezy. And Abezy's at 4. So it would be Abezy at 4, Shotzzy at 5,
Oh,
Octane
God.
at 6, Clay at 7. But do you want Shotzzy to be below Clay?
The one thing about Shotzzy is, as we have already agreed, Modern Warfare was a little fluky.
Like
My only thing is,
he-
I think Shotzi's amazing. Like I think he will be outstanding.
Mhm.
and like
He will
Okay,
be
say what you're gonna
outstanding,
say.
but
Say what you're
he
gonna
does
say.
no leadership
Why-
qualities. As we know, his comms were a little weak at the beginning of the year, but they got better. But they probably still
and he's
can
not
improve.
he's not as valuable in S&D.
Yeah,
I'd be
my-
okay with putting Shotzzy at 7.
Yeah, that was my argument, was to put Shotzi at 7 strictly because this was his first year. We don't there are still unknowns.
People
about
are going to
Shotzzy.
say the MVP of Modern Warfare is
Yes.
at number
We
7.
know.
Are you stupid? That's
know.
what they're going to say.
And then again, here it is. Whoever's watching, guess what? All three of us are valuing different things. So this is more of a consensus. Again,
I do
we
agree
know.
though, when you look at their full
yes,
game, their full arsenal of traits.
Yes.
Like if you're looking at this like a Madden player, and then you have a 0 to 100 rating on all these different skills, Shotzzy does have some work to do on a handful of
Yes.
skills.
that's all we're saying. Just because we have Shotzzy at 7 is not saying that he's the 7th best player. This is
I think, Shotzzy
hard
still
discussion.
needs somebody to kind of like keep him in check, I feel like.
and we might see him explode this year with knowledge of what he's gained.
Right.
Right.
I mean, my counter argument is that, like, sure, Clay and Crim made him who he is, but now he is who he is.
Yes.
And
But I think he still has growth he has to do with them.
very possible.
Like with
Very
Crim
possible.
now, but
Again, we're gonna see that this year. Like,
Okay, so are we committing to Shotzzy at 7? That
Yes.
feels
yeah,
really
Shotzzy's-
horrible. That
Shotzzy's
feels
7.
horrible.
It feels weird. It does. Again, this is not easy for 3 people to.
I mean,
to
I would say
Here's
Clay
where
at
we're
6.
running into the problem. We just have different ideas of what is considered valuable, so our list is just completely like mismatched. From like if we're having
maybe
this person here and this person here, it just doesn't make sense.
We
If you have Shotzzy at 7, but then Clay above Shotzzy, but Simp is our number 1 and RC's our number 2 and Envoy's our number 3, it just doesn't make sense on the list anymore.
we may need to do a follow up where we do all 3 of our own lists. However, this is the game, quote unquote, is to come to a consensus. So this is what we're doing.
No, but it's, again, Simp and Shotzzy and RC's games are more well-rounded in all 3 phases and in leadership. Like, Simp brings a lot to the table in comms and how they approach the game as well. Same as, obviously, RC's and Envoy do as well.
Yeah.
It's like Shotzzy's still getting there in that point. So that's why he's a little bit lower, okay? So we're explaining ourselves to the haters out there.
Yes.
Okay, 6-5-4. We have Octane, Clay, and Abezy left. I would go Abezy, Octane, Clay. Sam, how would you go?
This is honestly hard.
Rex, how would you go?
Yeah. Rex
would go Clay.
I'm just looking at this list, and it's just like it's just a mismatch because now I can't identify what we're valuing. Like
We've made our decisions. It is
There's
what
no
has happened is what
fluidity to
happened.
it.
Yes. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Just we'll go with it at this point. Who would you pick? Abezy, Shotzzy, Clay, or Abezy, Clay, Octane? Those 3, or order those 3 most valuable.
let's do
go Clay.
Octane.
Octane at 6. You want?
Yeah.
I want Clay at 6. Sam, who do you want?
Jeez. I did have Clay above Octane.
Octane, Clay, Abezy.
Yes.
Okay. Rex, how you feeling?
Not great, but we'll do it. It's fine.
Again,
I'm not gonna argue it.
I think everyone is feeling not great right now.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. We could do this.
Yeah. So, guys, this is, sorry, I didn't really show our list very often, but this is where we're at right now. Don't put it up too long because they'll screenshot it. They'll put up. No, I'm just kidding. There it is. That's what it is. Simp 1, Arcitys 2, Envoy 3, Abezy 4, Clay 5, Octane 6, Shotzzy 7, Crimsix 8, Celium 9, Slasher 10. And there's some really, really good players who are extremely valuable to teams that we did not mention.
Yes.
Priesta, not on
Looney,
the list.
Silly, Apathy.
Looney, Hook, ILLeY, Attach, Kenny, Scump, Formal. Like, these are very good players. And, like, when you put it in perspective like that, there's a lot of really good players in the Call of Duty League. Who'd have thought? There's some really good pros out there.
Yep.
And it's really hard to debate and value where we're at. Obviously, you saw that all in this video or in this podcast. This was probably, I don't know how long. I can't see the timer. I'm squinting to see it, but it was a long one.
It
One of our
was a long
longest,
one.
if not our longest. So I hope you guys, enjoyed it. One of our most heated of all podcasts, and ended up with a really weird, misconjointed list.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we should have just gone with our top 10s
I
and then
know.
debated who's more right.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm not sure if this was the best way to present the information.
Should have
But
made our own list, but it
Just
is
get
what it
prepared.
is.
it is what it
Get
is.
prepared to get roasted, fellas, on Twitter.
I'll
So,
be interested to see what you guys have to say about, certain philosophies and what philosophy you feel like is most viable. And maybe we can have a full-on debate about which traits end up bringing the most to a squad in another podcast.
Yes.
But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Drop your comments down below. Also, for all of you diehards out there, if you want to give some themes for Rex to potentially do
Oh.
this year,
Yeah.
Oh,
Get on that TV.
Then if you want some themes for Rex's intros, if you want to drop some ideas for themes for Rex intros down below, and Rex can kind of act out your themes for the intro, he might take a look down and gander down in the comments about what intros you want to see. I thought that might be fun to have you take some ideas and some themes for the podcast in the future. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you guys did, like, comment, subscribe, share a video. If you guys really enjoyed it, drop a review on Apple Podcasts and a comment down below on YouTube. We appreciate y'all. But as always, guys, I'm your boy, SalvationsElite. To my right is Sam, _Bo3. And to our farthest right, per usual, is Rex, ShadyNero. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.